1/4 of this country is panicking about the economy come Christmas. Another fourth is set on the rise of Ashby on TikTok and whether she is a industry plant. Another fourth is doing their best to just act like this shit isn't happening. And the remaining fourth is already contaminated to such a degree that there isn't even enough iodine in human history to help many of them recover. Walmart is not just the home of the butt crack or the white trash and the most frustrating line system that there literally is.
Kids, no good.
But now also might be home to some radioactive shrimp from an Indonesian company, and not just any Indonesian fishing company, reportedly the largest shrimp provider in the US. It's got some people in panic and some people wondering if they can turn themselves into ghouls without the horrifying skin conditions. How did this happen? You're probably wondering. Is JFK to blame as head of the Health and Human Services and therefore big boss to the FDA's boss? What is the possible impact of this recall other than some of us might discover how the human body cannot become X-Men in the way they had hoped? And will you find shrimp, an already decently high-priced item, going even higher thanks to this recall?
We have some news right now. The FDA is warning the public not to eat possibly radioactive shrimp sold at Walmart. Yes, I am serious. According to ABC News, the Food and Drug Administration is warning the public to not eat, sell, or serve certain great value raw frozen shrimp sold at Walmart due to possible contamination with cesium-137, a radioactive isotope.
A lot of things go well with shrimp. Radioactive isotopes, not so much. The FDA warning people not to buy or eat certain great value raw frozen shrimp sold at Walmart because it may be contaminated with cesium-137. That is a byproduct of testing for nuclear reactors and weapons, and unfortunately, it ends up in the ocean. The FDA says the levels do not present an acute hazard, but still, people should avoid ingesting it. It was sold in 13 states, but not in California.
So essentially, these shrimp were contaminated by cesium-137, which, as you just saw, is a byproduct of nuclear testing of the military and civil kind. Now, I should note it's an isotope that, after mankind's discovery of how to do nuclear fission, has become a relatively naturally existing thing in our world, which it also probably has something to do with the fact that our sun is a literal supersized nuclear reactor and sending all that radiation pretty much our way.
I'm gonna get me a tan.
No, meat wide, not without a 45 SPF, you don't.
Or it could also come from the fact that we had a weird kink as a society in the 50s, 60s, and 70s of, I don't know, testing the hell out of nukes and just disregarding the ramifications of what that process, what that weapon creates.
We'll meet again. Don't go away.
Why? Why? But you know, to each our own. After all, they used to prescribe cocaine back then as a way to fix, I don't know, your wife not wanting to wash the dishes. Not to mention Chernobyl and Fukushima, and to a much smaller degree, the 3 Mile Island incidents likely released a large amount as well into our overall environment. I remember discussing with family about this once, how something nuclear goes south, I'm stepping out the door and waiting for the end. I'm not gonna try and hide or survive any of that, because absolutely not. Not a chance in hell am I going to live in the aftermath of that. I've played Todd Howard games. I know that that's a game. That is not how it's going to play out in a nuclear apocalypse.
To anyone who isn't going to take...
But this is a little different than that, in that it was exposure due to release byproduct rather than nuclear bombs. Cesium-137, with its half-life of 30 years or so, taking into account many great factors, such as the fact that Chernobyl's damaged reactor is still leaking to this day, and the Fukushima plant is still releasing radioactive water through the grounds of the site, and they did dump a good amount of it in the earlier cleanup, as well as the factor of it still from time to time leaks into the ocean. It's kind of hard to contain a nuclear reactor when things go south, and in those incidences, nuclear reactors went very much south. Which is crazy that Fukushima is still leaking, because it's like, I rarely ever hear about that. And I think it's because those kawaii bastards knew anime was the best psyop to distract the shit out of everyone. Because I swear to God, ever since Fukushima, there has been a massive explosion of anime lovers. It was on the rise during that and before it, but I feel like afterwards, it seems like everyone watches anime now. Like, it's a good psyop. It's a good psyop. It's much better than Aliens or the fucking NFL here in America, but a psyop nonetheless. Since this is all leaking still and whatnot, it's still very much so something in our environment, especially around areas where these leaks or disasters happen, such as Indonesia. Sure, it's on the other side of the Philippine Sea from Japan, but fun fact, water moves. It travels.
No shit.
I know, shocker, who'da thunk it? And at some point, that water interacted with either Indonesian shrimp or just Indonesian ports in general, which hold something called shipping containers. Not the ones hipsters use to think about making homes out of.
It's hideous.
Technically the same, but these are ones that remain in circulation, that have actual use and don't just sit there looking fucking stupid. I don't know Indonesia's process for checking the safety of their products and containers, and it damn sure isn't a place for me to judge. I think it's safe to say the world has had enough with Americans passing on judgment on shit that doesn't directly involve them or involves the intrusion of our capitalist asshole countries. So I won't comment, but also Indonesia, just a word of warning here, a little bit. If we are all dead from horrible cancer fish, I don't think anyone will be buying your cancer fish. Even if they're like, congrats, you got rid of the imperial place that we all hate. They're still not going to buy your fish because they don't want their people. Just putting that out there. Just something for you to think about, toss around the room, you know, brainstorm. That's all.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
But these things did happen, and as a result, the company BMS Foods, which has a longer name I won't try to pronounce and provides a crap ton of shrimp to the US, had pretty much a huge chunk of recent shipments exposed to cesium-137. This exposed shrimp made its way to US ports as anything in the global trade system does today, and eventually onto shelves at Walmart. Not sure if Walmart is the only ones, probably a few more in that space, in that industry that sell, shrimp. Likely also were impacted. I assume, especially with these like company brands, they all tend to use the same supplier. But my issue is, shouldn't these contaminated containers been detected when they arrived at their respective ports?
I hope so.
Like, we are automating the hell out of our ports, and our companies spend billions challenging the strike support workers every single time one pops up, but they can't invest in some shit that scans immediately for dangerous chemicals and byproducts such as, I don't know, cesium-137. The same shit that melted dudes in Chernobyl for just, holding a graphite size fucking brick of it. Shouldn't that be automatic, or am I just tripping? Am I just overthinking this? Shouldn't each container get like a scan by, a human being as well, with like a fucking Geiger counter or something? I feel like these should be standard practices. I don't know the industry. Maybe it is, but it doesn't seem like it. Maybe that day the system just went down, but mind you, we're talking containers with an S, as in plural, as in multiple containers, as in likely those multiple containers did not come across on the same fucking boat. So this slipped by our processes several fucking times, and nobody noticed it. Nobody noticed it until it was already on the fucking store shelves. Already been through Walmart's processes to get to that point and end up on the store shelves, and already fucking purchased by several people, to the point where they had to put out a recall that said, hey, if you bought this, bring it back and get a refund immediately. Don't eat it. For the contaminated, fallout inducing goddamn super shrimp that will give you super tumors if you ingest it in large enough amounts. Holy fuck, why does everything turn to shit once it touches American shores? God damn. This is RFK Jr. I've done a video on him and his whole brainworm deal, which you should go check that out, but he is the head of Health and Human Services. I wouldn't put him and health or human in the same sentence even if my mother's life was on the line, but this is a joke country with a joke situationship going on. So, I don't know, go off Worm King. I don't know what you want from me, RFK. Is he to blame for this, since the FDA should have been the last line of expected defense before this stuff fully landed in the hands of grocery chains? As much as this hurts me, and I mean saying this will likely give me a goddamn super tumor, I don't think RFK Jr. is to blame for this. I know. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ!
Am I infected with radioactive material? More than likely. I'm American. I was in the womb surrounded by radiation. That's how this country works. Now, in 10 years, if some memo is released saying that they knew they had a problem and didn't act on it until it was clear that there wasn't a bear in Central Park which had eaten one of the shrimp and become a super bear that RFK Jr. needed to go hunt down solo and eliminate as a threat, which that's an RFK joke. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, just shut up. Then, and only then, will I fully say RFK should be thrown next to the elephant's foot in Chernobyl as a punishment. But I genuinely hold the belief that companies which own ports should be held responsible for this situation. Check the goddamn containers before it ever touches a fucking flatbed truck. Should the FDA do the same? Yeah, for any container containing food. Can they? Abso-fucking-lutely not. Do you remember what happened in the first 3 months, which feels like it was 10 years ago, of this presidency? Every agency had their pockets run by a racist, supremacist, failed baby daddy, former Silicon Valley darling, and all-around weird shithead named Elon Bitch-Made Musk.
Shut your bitch ass up!
So asking the 5 remaining FDA employees to check and make sure every food container coming off a ship is clear of any danger is an impossible ask. You get better odds winning the fucking lottery, or I don't know, since we're talking about radioactive creatures in the sea, beating fucking Godzilla.
Never mind.
It was like that before Trump, and it will be likely like that after Trump, if there is an after. Looking a whole lot less likely more and more every single day. Probably should work on that, but baby fucking steps. Hella baby steps for this country right now. 1/4 of this country is panicking about the economy come Christmas. Another 1/4 is set on the rise of Ashby on TikTok and whether she is a industry plant. Another 1/4 is doing their best to just act like this shit isn't happening. And the remaining 1/4 is already contaminated to such a degree that there isn't even enough iodine in human history to help many of them recover. So what is the impact that this is all going to have? Well, on the physical sense, we have already gone over this countless times as a species. Watch any movie or TV show which commits as hard as possible to the real effects of radiation poisoning and what that does to the human body, or I don't know, just open any World War II history book and go to the last, maybe 3 months, and you will see some pretty fucked up shit when it comes to Japan. You don't become Magneto or Jean Grey or maybe even Nightcrawler, where it's clear you aren't just a mutant, but a whole ass different species. Yes, I know his dad is a demon, and his mother, Mystique, is a mutant, which technically means he also is half mutant, but also half demon. But that would not be fucking human mutant, if you ask me. That would be something entirely different. Plus, don't question me, I have plushie dolls and LED lights in my room. Those are basically prerequisites for being a fucking absolute nerd these days. So I know what I'm talking about. Exposure to cesium-137 comes with all the worst physical effects. The worst being, of course, death. But there's also radiation burns, acute radiation syndrome, organ damage or failure, bone depletion, cancer risk, and of course effects to fertility. Though if you dislike your parents and want to get back at them in a way that doesn't result in you ending up in jail, cesium-137 is a good way to mix up your genes and ruin those genes. The genes you got from your parents, the DNA, not Sydney Sweeney genes. Those genes are rather controversial right now.
Not to be racist or anything, but Asian people.
Although, who the fuck is buying American Eagle jeans still? I don't know, maybe I'm just out of the loop. Have kids yourself, the genes you got from your parents are going to be utterly fucked. However, I wouldn't recommend it unless you want your baby to look like an early AI version of Nightcrawler, or maybe have a month to live past birth. And if you hate your parents enough to say that is an acceptable sentence you're willing to pass on to a new life that you helped create, then you might need Jesus or a therapist.
You need many years of therapy.
And to really stop talking to your parents. It will do you a whole lot of good. Health isn't the only thing that is impacted, but I think it is more important, hence it going first in this part. But there is an economic impact as well, not just here. Remember, this is a globalized economy. There is an economic impact everywhere if someone farts in their toilet in Kentucky. BMS, the company who produced the shrimp, has a hit all the way across their chain from this recall, from their fishing boat workers to the fishing boat maintenance workers, or those who work shrimp farms if they have those, all the way up to, but not including, the executives. It is a neo-capitalist world out there, and if there is one thing that that world guarantees, is people who are at the top don't have consequences.
It's funny because it's true.
Anyways, I don't particularly think dock workers here in the US or even maybe in Indonesia will be too heavily impacted economically. Obviously, there is the long-term health risk from such exposure, but it has to, of course, be in significant enough amounts. Your body is pretty capable of filtering out waste. So who knows? But America is running low on economic steam. We are still buying and consuming, just we consume now and buy later thanks to Klarna and other buy now pay later.
You did. You crazy son of a bitch, you did.
God, I hate dyslexia. Trying to read the script and talk at the camera is the worst. Anyways, I digress. We're moving on. As well as credit cards. And we use those a shit more than we ever should, myself included. Though as of late, with everyone and their mama door dashing, my ability to do either variation is vastly weakening. Seriously, I was dashing the other day and I saw a couple that were dashing in a fucking Mercedes E-Class, which if you're driving a Mercedes E-Class and your money is so tight that you need to do gig work, your priorities are absolutely a million miles off of what the fuck, okay? You're beyond that at this point. Like if your car's MSRP is above 40K and you're doing gig work in today's economy, you need to stop, get off the app, find an accountant and ask them to look at your books. Cancel your OnlySmans subscriptions, okay? Because you clearly have them in abundance, and then have an internal conversation on why you need to learn how to cook rather than going to eat out every fucking night. Or, fun fact, you don't have to get a meal every time you go to eat out. Just get the entree. I remember once I was dashing and this guy was hitting on me, and we both got our orders at the same time, and I was just trying to go because I don't want to talk to people when I'm dashing. That's the whole reason why I'm dashing and not doing Lyft or fucking Uber. I don't want to talk to people, right? And this guy, he walks out with me. He has his DoorDash order. We both walk out at the same time. And I shit you not, this man gets into a Grand Wagoneer. Not like the base model either. You could tell it had some shit with it. Maybe the premium trim or whatever. I don't know. But it was definitely not the base model Grand Wagoneer. And it's like, this is not a hobby for you. Even if you were leasing, you're not doing this shit for the lulz. You are living a million miles beyond your means. A Grand Jeep Wagoneer, where the MSRP starting for the bitch model is basically $80,000? Are you kidding me? He even said that he kind of just does this like as a way to get out the house. And it's like, okay, if you're doing it as a way to get out the house, don't do it in a Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Do you understand the hurt you are putting on your fucking car just door dashing? I'm barely keeping my Altima on the road as is. If I took you up on your offer and you came to get me for a date and I found out that Jeep Grand Wagoneer was actually your daily driver as well as your little DoorDash fucking vehicle, I might murder you out of the need to understand by not understanding. I might murder you. They might get a murder react. Just saying.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Sorry, sometimes my post-situation responses can be rather vicious.
Alrighty then.
What were we talking about again? Oh yeah, radioactive shrimp.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Here in the US, you can expect shrimp to go up in price. So if you're a 3 or 4 times a week shrimp enjoyer, be on the lookout, which it must be fucking nice to even have that to be on the lookout for. I would murder some fried popcorn shrimp on the daily if I could afford it.
I can tell you I don't have money.
But alas, people subscribe. Maybe I can. Not expensive shrimp, something like Mayflower. Very good shrimp joint, or Carolina fish fry. Also very good shrimp joint. Not sponsored, but if those things ever want to sponsor me, as long as the deal includes daily fried popcorn shrimp, I'm pretty sure I'd be down. But this price increase isn't just because of America not having enough right away to fight off a need for a recall, but also because Trump put crazy tariffs on shrimp back during his tariff phase earlier this year. By the way, can we just point out the fact that this second presidency, hell, his first presidency even, is often filled with so much craziness that the phases don't come every quarter like most presidents on average, but they come literally every week. They blow up and are gone by the end of the fucking week. Can we just talk about how insane that fucking is? Even if you like the guy, that's insane.
Of that.
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all because...
According to the Southern Shrimp Alliance.com, an organization I feel definitely played a role in Forrest Gump the movie. The tariffs come at a critical moment when 94% of shrimp and all seafood consumed in the United States is already imported. This extreme import dependency stands in stark contrast to overall U.S. food imports, which account for just 15% of American food consumption, according to the FDA. The new duties are expected to slow imports and prevent Americans from becoming completely dependent on foreign shrimp producers, while the administration addresses harmful trade policies and enforcement deficiencies.
That's all I have to say about that.
Which you might be able to spin as a good thing. After all, this and tariffs could put a lot of small fishing companies in the Southeast back in big business waters, meaning more Forrest and Bubba's. And if that movie taught me anything, it's that Jinnai showed people can be hurt and will do anything to hide it till it's too late to fix it. And also, you can never have too many Forrest or Bubbas.
I miss you, Jenny.
But there is one problem with that idea. A fishing boat can sink in seconds. Building one can take months. Ask OceanGate, ask Titanic, just any boating disaster. Specifically OceanGate. Technically that was a submarine, but I think society has come to collectively agree, no it wasn't. By the time these companies are able to start taking up some of that 95% market share, BMS and those affected on the global scale will likely have already moved on and returned somewhat to form. Not to mention that Alliance and those it represents are operating out of the Gulf. I don't know if you guys know how notoriously hurt those areas are around this time of year, you know, with hurricanes and whatnot about, but yeah, they get hit pretty hard and pretty often, and likely haven't recovered from all the effects of Deepwater Horizon, which I know people love to say Mark Wahlberg doesn't have range, like he always just basically plays himself in every movie. But that movie about that disaster showed some pretty decent range to me, if I'm being honest, okay? He can play racist Mark, he can play funny Mark, he can play serious Mark, he can play funny yet tragic Mark, and finally, just your everyday guy experiencing tragedy Mark. I call that range. Range of Mark Wahlberg.
I am a peacock! You gotta let me fly!
So it is safe to say between tariffs and this recall of one of the industry's biggest, if not the biggest suppliers, will definitely hit wallets in a capacity. Meaning most of us will go from broke and unable to eat shrimp as much as we may have normally done or wanted to already, to broke and probably unable to find shrimp that doesn't make us feel like we are selling a kidney just for the hope that we might become Nightcrawler. Although I am already Nightcrawler. If you don't believe me, watch this. And by watch this, I mean start blinking like a fuck ton and ignore any possible signs that this might be edited, okay? So I'm here right now. Okay, just watch. Just watch. And now, I am here. I slightly moved over. See? Told you I'm Nightcrawler. I'm gonna move back. So just keep watching. Remember, keep blinking your eyes and ignore editing. I mean, possible signs of editing. Just keep watching. See? Now I'm back here. Told you, I'm Nightcrawler. I can only do that twice a year, so don't ask me to do that again until this time next year. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
So in conclusion, I am the only living mutant. Your shrimp is about to get even more pricier. American ports don't seem to be as equipped to detect radiation to the level I previously believed. Walmart has a stranglehold on the shrimp industry to the point that I did not think they did before, because it's fucking Walmart. And shrimp is such an expensive thing, in my opinion, in my view. I could be wrong. Again, I don't eat fish as much as I would want to. And RFK Jr. did something JFK or his dad never could. He dodged a bullet.
Oh, damn!
But that brainworm told bullets, hold my fucking beer. And I think that's hilarious.